Welcome back to another episode of Important Miscellaneous Talks. I'm your host, Glacier Cross, and today we have a very, very special guest. I love his content, man. Kevin Samuels would be so proud. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? My name's Allen. I started the channel We Need to Talk, and right now we're trying to take a lighter approach to some of Kevin Samuels' dialogue. So we found a little bit of success, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Got you. And of course, African Prince. It's real interesting with your content. I think the way that you deliver your message is the way that a lot of people wish that Kevin Samuel delivered his message.
Right. I think, well, and I try to empathize with him. So Kevin Samuels is like 52 years old. If you've been preaching the same message for like, what I'm saying, 40, 30 years, after a while, you're going to get jaded. I'm a lot younger. So like, I don't have, what I'm saying? I'm not tired yet. I still got stamina. So I think that's the difference.
I think that he mentioned that he tried it a different way before, and people weren't getting it.
Facts,
So you had to switch it up. And with the kind of content that you do, it's really there's a fine line between. So you kind of, because the way that you deliver it might resonate well with more people, but there's some people that might try to ambush you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, actually, one of the questions that I ask people that I interview is, why do you think Kevin Samuels is so popular? And the reason I ask that question is I feel like his rise to prominence is more of an indictment on society than on him. Because the reality is, if it bleeds, it leads. If he wasn't being abrasive, if he wasn't cursing people out, for instance, if Fresh and Fit weren't kicking people out of their show, they wouldn't have a platform. Right. So unfortunately, what we've done is we've created an incentive for people to prefer infamy over progress. Because at the end of the, yeah, exactly. People like drama, Bad Girls Club, you know what I'm saying? Love and Hip Hop, no whole nine. So
especially the Black community. Now that you mention it,
right?
We love the drama.
Especially the Black community. Facts.
How old are you?
28.
Got you.
28. Are you here with the roommates at all?
I am Hafiz. Yeah, he's also Nigerian.
Oh, so yeah. So you're from Africa?
Yes, sir.
Or
Nigeria. I'm Igbo.
Oh, that's it.
That's all good. I'm Igbo.
Oh, okay. It makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I'm from Johannesburg, so
South Africa.
Yeah.
I used to talk to a girl from there, man. Y'all. It's an interesting place. I need to pull up, but it's an interesting place for
real. I had my fun with Nigerians, so
Word. Yeah, man.
But tell us a bit more about your background. I believe that to every success story, because you're young and you're on the rise, and definitely see a lot of success coming your way. So, but there's always your origin, always a backstory. So can you take us into your backstory, you growing up, and
Yeah. I mean, I tell people all the time, I think part of the skill set that has helped me be successful, not just in this, but in life in general, is being able to relate to multiple different subgroups of people. So, as an African immigrant, when I came over here, it's like in the world, I was Black, but in the house, I was African. So I had to navigate both those two worlds. And part of being Black by itself is, code switching and sometimes having to be white and sometimes having to be, Black. So I got an appreciation for not just truth, but perspective. And I think that's really what's helped me shape these conversations to, work the way that they did. But the start of We Need to Talk was actually in college. I started We Need to Talk, I think probably my sophomore, junior year of college. I was in charge of NAACP. And we started We Need to Talk as like a program of NAACP. And it was actually one of my boys who told me, why don't you make this its own organization? So we were pretty successful. We won Organization of the Year, Excellence in Programming. I was inducted into some leadership hall at the school. But, after graduating, trying to find myself, I couldn't really help the branches that we had started at other schools really grow. So eventually that kind of died and fizzled off. So now this is almost like a rebirth, resurgence of what we were doing in schools, just on, you know, on a digital, in a digital space. So I'm excited about it.
What state are you from?
So I'm in South Carolina. It's funny, man. So I pretty much grew up in South Carolina. Moved to Charlotte after graduating, then moved to Baltimore, then moved back to South Carolina. So I'm here now.
Would you say, have you ever talked to a girl from New York City?
Yeah, but when we moved from Africa, we lived in New York. We lived in Long Island. So I've had a few of them from New York. You know, they built different, man. They listen, they built different.
Would you say that the women in the South are more submissive than New York City girls? Wow, is that close? I thought it'd be an easy yes.
No, this is what I'll say. The women in the South prioritize niceness in a way that women in the North, women in the West might not. So, but with niceness, it might just be a surface thing. So the difference is women in New York might be a little bit more abrasive, but like once you got them, you got them. You know what I'm saying? She'll ride for you for real. Whereas women in the South, it's a toss-up, but it's going to be an easier, aesthetically, it's going to be easier, you know, to kind of take in. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's not a runaway like people will have you think.
So they're not ride or die in the South?
You said what?
They're not ride or die in the South?
I would say it's not, but what I'm saying, it's not a big difference as far as like ride or die from the South to the North. It's just that the Southern girls are nicer because they're supposed to be, you know, Southern hospitality and all that. But it's not a big difference as far as like the South has better women. It's just nicer women, especially when you get to like Atlanta. That's a jungle, bro. Like it's different. It's different in Atlanta, man.
I think because, you know, a lot of people say, you know, go to a small town to find a wife and stuff like that. I think it's easy. If you're looking for wife material, I think it's easier down south compared to the north. I don't think there's much, you know, or wife material. I mean, of course, you know, there's good and bad everywhere, or east, north, south, west, whatever. I think because, you know, I grew up in New York, but then, you know, I live in Texas now. So I do see the difference. Like, you have hoes everywhere. Like, they're always going to, you know what I'm saying? But compared to what you're saying, like, it is aesthetically, it is really a coin toss. They will be nice, but you can be nice and still be a hoe or
a terrible person, right?
Exactly.
Right. And the thing with that is like, one of my OGs told me, like, be careful of a girl who's too easily impressed, and then be careful of a girl who hasn't been exposed. So like with the small town thing, the problem with that is once you know, take her into the world, or, you know, if you're not willing to, you know, settle down in that small town, like her eyes are going to be like, oh man, because she hasn't seen nothing. Right. So it's a catch-22. You got to kind of weigh the benefits. Like, I know one of the issues that happens with Nigerians sometimes is they go back home to marry a wife, you know, from the village, bring her over here, you know, she goes to school, she becomes a nurse, and now you can't tell her nothing. Now, I don't advocate for dudes like looking for women that they could be a doormat, or that will be a doormat for them, but like, it comes with its drawbacks. Like, life is all about trade-offs, man.
Like Kevin says. And me and him, we talked about, like, you know, maybe exploring options outside the United States to find our wife. And now you bring this up. That's interesting. Once you expose her to, you know, things that she's never been exposed to before, her standards will probably raise. And it's very hard for women to go backwards in lifestyle once they've been exposed to it.
Exactly. A lot of them, I can't go back to how it was before because he exposed me to so much, you know. So
that's what I like scammers, because now you got your first scammer.
Facts, exactly.
You hop to your first Lambo, you can't Can't go
You
back
can't get in the
that.
Honda no more. Exactly, bro. Exactly. It's a catch-22.
And with New York, I think the women here are especially more picky because we're so populated. So I think they have, and like Kevin says, an overinflated sense of what their options really are.
Facts. And I think, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, a good woman is going to be a good woman anywhere, right? So I don't think, you know, New York has a shortage of good women. I mean, I would say compared to where, but at the end of the day, like, it's good for a woman to at least have seen, not necessarily been in the clubs or anything, but at least have seen the world, right? So it's not, I don't know if you've seen that movie Temptation, that Tyler Perry movie. Like she grew up in a small town. What's that?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Exactly. But in a way, low key, I always said like giving her AIDS was like OD because she literally did not have any boyfriend since kindergarten. Like he been together with her since kindergarten. She hasn't seen nothing. So she's too easily impressed because she hasn't seen nothing. So like there has to be a healthy balance of like, this is an adult, but it's not an adult who's too easily impressed.
Right.
I deserved AIDS, to be honest, because she was wilding.
Right. Yeah, she was wilding. I ain't gonna, yeah, she was wilding.
Yeah,
but oh, go ahead.
It is a fine balance because then a woman who's been exposed to too much, she's gonna feel like she's settling for you.
Exactly.
You can't maintain the lifestyle that she was at.
Exactly.
But you mentioned good woman. Classify that. What's a good woman
to you?
I'm all about, you know, before a man even thinks about looking for a woman, he needs to figure out what type of man he wants to be for himself, right? I think, unfortunately, too many men get caught up in this idea of, I'm going to find my wife and she's going to help me build the version of man I want to be. I strongly believe you have to first identify who you want to become and start going in that direction, because you know what's going to be a good woman for you is going to be the person who can help you become who you want to become. And on the flip side, I think the mistake women make is they fall in love with who they want us to become, or who we are currently, or who we were, or who we look like, and they don't actually think about how do I fit into his life? How do I get on his program? What is he building, and how do I fit into that construction company? So I'm all about, you know what I'm saying? It has to be a good fit for you as a man, but you have to first chart a course for where you're going.
Find your purpose and then find a woman that aligns with your purpose.
Boom. Thanks.
So when did you realize these things? Because, you know, you don't just wake up one day and get all this wisdom and all this game. So were there a few bumps in the road?
He's Nigerian. He was a natural born Gallus, bro. He had
man, listen. Man, listen. This is what happened. So I think I grew up with both my parents, but my dad is one of those people where he's like seen and not heard, right? He's if you met me,
African and Caribbean parents are.
That's facts. And I tell people all the time, like, if you meet me, what you would assume my dad would be like is not it at all. Like, it's not it at all. So like I ended up becoming, I think, my mom's ideal dude. So
she put me that too.
Facts. So she put me on a lot of game. Coming up, I didn't have the juice because I was the African booty scratcher. You know what I'm saying? But the benefit of that, I got the opportunity to sit back and observe and see what works, see what doesn't work. And as I grew up, you know what I'm saying? And
the African booty, that was like high school, right?
That was high school, middle school. You know what I mean? And as I grew up and I started consolidating those experiences, and for some reason overnight, we dark-skinned dudes ain't style now. African dudes are style. Listen, that shit pissed me off, bro. That makes me mad.
In high school, it was light skin is the right skin. I get to college, everyone's in love with dark skin, bro. It was crazy.
Facts. And I'm like, y'all wearing
culture is appreciated. People wearing dashikis. Like, it's got crazy.
Bro,
Afro beats got popping.
Bro, that's the biggest thing. Niggas really want to jack Afro beats. Like, y'all niggas was not jacking this.
We used to hide like our music. Like we used to play it quietly in a corner type shit.
You couldn't tell people publicly.
And now it's like, put me on.
You couldn't tell people you were African because they automatically, the assumption, and remember the commercials back in the day too, to give 5 things. So the assumption with Africa was, okay, you're poor, you're low class, you got a funny accent, you smell weird. So like that, it took people a while to start to appreciate that, unfortunately.
Yeah. But the beautiful thing about it, because I feel like I said earlier, life is about trade-offs. The beautiful thing about it, it gave us time to really mature. Because what you'll see if you look back, whether you look back at the girls who were like the top girls in high school, they not that now. The top niggas, they not that. Exactly. They work in a factory somewhere, you know? But because you were able to really be on your Yu-Gi-Oh shit, on, you know what I'm saying? Now that type, exactly.
Collecting cards is lit.
Butterfly.
Yeah, you could be, I mean, but I guess maybe that is the progression, or maybe, you know, also we weren't adults, you know, in high school either. So maybe we just didn't know enough about the culture. Facts.
Yeah. But like I say, even like with nerds, like nerds win in the end, right? So whether it's nerds because of you don't fit into mainstream culture, and especially the Black community, they've defined masculinity by a lot of self-destructive imagery, right? So if you don't fit into that, you're too soft, you know? But eventually the stuff that made you quote unquote soft, or the things that you were interested in that weren't mainstream, is exactly what catapults you to the success you become later on in life.
And another thing about the Black community is that they have too many categories that can take away your Black card.
Facts.
Whether you like white women, whether you're a Republican, whether you would never seen Bad Boys 2 or Paid in Full, we have too many categories that can take away your Black card. And this is, I think, it's one of the reasons why we're so divided.
I think, you know, what pisses me off about that personally, and I talked about this in episode, I think 16 or 17, but the things that would take away your Black card would give it to a white dude.
Like this.
You see what I'm saying? Like the things that would take away your Black card would give it to a white dude. Like we're so quick to, he could dribble a basketball. He invited.
I get you. So a white guy that has seen Paid in Full, he get to come to the barbecue.
Exactly.
Got you. That's a bar right there.
Facts.
Yeah, that's getting
Facts. Like our masculinity is already really, really fragile, but Black masculinity particularly, like you say something people don't like, you must be gay. You do something people don't like, you lame, this and that. It's real.
You hate your mom, you hate yourself. I freaking love myself. You crazy?
Exactly.
Paul, you have something to say?
No, go ahead.
What do you think has been the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout, you know, this process with your content? Everything that glitters is not gold. Like I've really, because I'm to the point now where I'm starting to interview girls that I don't necessarily know that well. And like, I think the mistake we make as men is we pedestalize women prematurely. And what that does is all she can do is disappoint us. Like when we see her from far away, we see her on IG or whatever the case may be, she looking good, her skin ain't got no blemishes, her booty fat, this and that. And then like, you see her up close and you're like, oh, you're a person. And then you start talking to them and you're like, oh, you're crazy, right? And it humanizes them for you, right? So that's the biggest thing I've learned. Y'all give me 1 second. Let me go